gals. My name is Steve Nip, and I'm here to talk to you today about what it's like to live with AIDS, and more specifically just what, kind of how the virus and living with this illness has changed since I was first diagnosed, and then what it's like today, because they're kind of two different worlds, really. So I'll tell you a little about myself. It's hard to talk about AIDS without bringing up the gay thing, because when I was first diagnosed in 1989, it was gay guys that were the ones that were getting it. So so I'm going to back up a little bit and kind of give you a sense of what it was like for me when I was in high school. I was, very engaged, like you folks are, in a lot of different activities. I had a girlfriend, actually, for the whole 4 years that I was in high school, and her name was Debbie. And she and I were very close. As we got, to be 16 or 17, it was just kind of expected that we would get married. It was kind of that serious. And but when I was about 17 years old, it began to kind of become a little bit of an issue for me, because I was really starting to see that, that my attraction to women just was not there in the same kind of way that it was for all my other peers. So as this kind of, surprising information kind of started to bubble up in my mind, I really had to kind of deal with it. I mean, it was hard to to kind of keep that a secret, for one thing, and particularly with the gal that I was dating and that I was presumably going to marry one day. So it kind of came to a head at one point. I think that probably, for me, even before I was 17, as far as I can remember, like even back when I was 9 or 10, I began to kind of realize that I was just different from other guys, other my friends. But when you're that age, you really don't think about it in any kind of concrete terms. So it was kind of there under the surface, but every time it would kind of bubble up, I would just kind of put it back down there, and because there was no one to talk to, there was no one to really give me any information about it. I couldn't go to anyone and say anything. It was really hard then, as it even is now, to find someone that you can talk to something so intimate about yourself. Not really knowing what kind of reaction you're going to get. So, but when I was 17, going on 18, and I had, my girlfriend, and this, this sexuality issue was becoming stronger and stronger in me. It was kind of like the perfect storm, something kind of had to give. And I realized that I had a choice to make. I could either, continue to kind of pretend that it wasn't there and maybe hope that it would go away, which I've been hoping for a lot of years before that, and, kind of go about making plans, having, getting married, having kids, or I needed to kind of deal with it. I kind of imagined that if I, kind of put it off, it was just going to get worse, and more difficult to make that kind of a move and a separation if I had a family and a wife and the rest of it. So I, decided that I really needed to kind of, make it known and to myself for one thing, and then, to Debbie and to my family. So basically I, went through kind of a grueling last year of high school, because, I was very popular in high school, in the band, and was a trumpet player there, and, I had a lot of things kind of going for me, but I had this kind of secret that I was also kind of carrying around, and so it was really difficult for me to kind of come up with that information. And so, but eventually, like I said, I just kind of had to do it, and so I remember I went to, my grandmother was living in a little apartment off the back of our house at the time, and I was working at McDonald's, and I'd come home after work, it'd be like 11 o'clock, and she'd be the only person awake at that time of night, so we'd go in and we'd talk, and her and I were very close all my life, and so I finally decided that I needed to tell somebody. This is the first time I ever uttered the words to anybody except for in my own mind, and so I told my grandmother, Grandma, I think I'm gay, and I kind of waited, to see what the reaction was going to be, And she said, "Oh, honey, I've known that since you've been 9 years old." I said, "Well, hell, why don't you tell me about it, in the dark here, So So, it was one of those things that, I thought, well, this is encouraging. At least my first reaction isn't a bad one. So, her and I, talked a great deal about it over the next few weeks. And then I told my mom and dad, my stepdad actually, my parents were divorced when I was about 9. My mom remarried a great guy who was my stepdad. He took me right in, took all of us in. And it was like his own kids, so it was nice. But, I told them, and they were very supportive. They were a little baffled by it, I think. I lived in a very small town in Michigan, and so it wasn't like anyone knew any gays or what it was like. I mean, they just kind of heard the stereotypes, and my mom was, she was a little concerned. She wasn't, she never questioned how she felt about me, but she was like, are you sure? We need to make sure, and, I know that, if you're going to go down this course in your life, it's going to be hard, and no mother wants to see their kid have a struggle, any more than there already is, but, I went, she kind of sent me to a doctor, and I saw this, it was a psychologist, and I saw him for a few weeks, and the guy says, you're gay, so just get used to it, So it became very clear that I was, this is the way it was going to be. Basically, I was, I'd kind of told the significant people in my life, and I graduated from high school, and I decided that I really couldn't, fully explore my new life staying in Bay City, Michigan. And there was just no other gay people there that I knew. Little did I know that there was a whole group of them there, but, no one talked. No one, you just didn't see these folks, So my friends, I worked at McDonald's when I was in high school, and my friends were headed down to Houston, Texas. And so they said, why don't you split the gas and come down with us? And I thought, all right. I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know anything about Texas. I wish I had, but I didn't. But I ended up getting down. I moved down to Houston down there, and this is 1981 or so, and the big construction boom going on down there. My friends were going down there to get into that work. But I was just going down there to kind of find myself. I wanted to, kind of live on my own and see what this whole new kind of life was going to be like for me. So I went down there, and I worked a few jobs. I worked at Red Lobster for a while, and then I met my partner Tom, and he and I got together, and after a year or so, we opened up a real estate company, and so we were doing residential real estate sales, the two of us, and over the course of the next 6 years, we got busier and busier and busier, and we were just kind of a two-man operation, so we were working 7 days a week, and it was just kind of relentless work. And it was about 1989 that Tom got, sick, and we didn't know what was wrong. He was just fatigued. He would fall asleep in the office with his head down, which was just so unlike him because he was very regimented about work, and just, he used to really drive me quite a bit, and he was very, very driven. And to see him sleeping in the middle of the afternoon was just so unlike him that we knew that something was seriously wrong.